Hey everyone, it's Matt here, and today I'm doing another episode of Keikaku Corner. We have a lot of topics to cover. Sadly, as you can tell if you're watching this, Tristan is sadly unable to make it to this episode yet again, but I want to jokingly blame him, but if you're in the States like we are, you just got through with Thanksgiving. Depending on your experience with either your family or traveling, stuff like that, it's either we had Thanksgiving or you just got through with Thanksgiving. So, tell me down below, guys, if you are watching this on our YouTube channel, some of your hopefully happy memories, some that you may have even had this year. For me, it was rather low key, just hanging out with some family, just eating some turkey, stuffings. Everyone's doing the whole meme, the tomatoes, potatoes. I'm not gonna do that, but we had a lot of food. I'll say that much. So it was fun. It was very relaxing. Just trying to not do so much. So thankfully, we're back from hiatus, but I'm back. Tristan is still working. He had Thanksgiving off, thankfully, with his job, but. Black Friday, he was not so lucky. So he will hopefully be back with us for the next one. But I mean, he's still contributing either with Those Guys Play, our gaming channel, or with some other stuff that is coming out on our Those Guys on the Radio YouTube channel. So what are we talking about today? Well, we are talking about some stuff related to the new Ghostbusters movie, new Doctor Who trailers, new Black Widow trailer, some stuff regarding the idea that there even could be an Alita Battle Angel sequel, some stuff related to Persona 5 Royal. Every time I see it, I want to call it Royale with cheese, and also some news regarding some voice actors, specifically Funimation voice actors, and we'll be saving that one for last. Good news, so that's good as well. Now, jumping first to the Black Widow trailer, this one was rather interesting because I continuously forget that this movie exists, and that's not so much to knock this trailer, to knock this film. It's just really due to the fact that, and I'm going to be frank here, this is a film that I expected to see. Wow, 10 years ago, perhaps, before some controversial stuff came out about Scarlett Johansson, some of the stuff that she and some of her publicists have said about that stuff, and I'll get to that a little bit later. So, with all of that, this has come out, I've kind of just been about this film. Now, also the fact that I should mention, too, I was under the impression that it was going to be a prequel, and that someone else was going to be playing her. I don't think we discussed this on this podcast, but it seems, of course, that has changed, and that this is going to be in between Civil War and Endgame. Which means that, and we can see this from the trailer itself, we have a few different cameos. So we have General Ross, who actually becomes Red Hulk in the comics. Seems like they're definitely not going in that direction, at least as of this time. Probably due to the fact that, CG for the Hulk, or for anyone who is like the Hulk, is usually very expensive. Not sure what they're going to do with She-Hulk, but when it comes to either the Hulk or presumably Red Hulk, yeah, it's going to be a decent chunk of cash. So they're probably not going to be doing that, but he hasn't died in canon from what I remember, so there's no reason why he can't appear in this film. So we see him there. We also are, from the looks of it, getting a look at Natasha's quote-unquote family, and I say quote-unquote because the looks of it from the comics, and I haven't really read a lot about Natasha Romanoff, specifically Black Widow, or her Black Widow. That's also very relevant as well, but from doing a little bit of research, and again, this is I'm going to tell this to you guys because it's not really spoilers, because this can go in any direction, really. So the woman that she calls her sister, not only in the comics does take on the name of Black Widow as well, but something to note as well is that in the comics she is not her sister. It's a bond that is formed at this facility, which I think just from looking at the trailer, you can see from them being trained back in the day, you can see that clearly, they have a bond of some kind through that, basically that torture, I would argue, that it was. So, yes, they're sisters, but not necessarily. Now, the man who is played by the actor from Stranger Things, so that character specifically is Red Guardian. Now, in the comics, Red Guardian is actually Natasha's husband, but looking at it from the perspective of this film, again, trailers are trailers, so they can always lie in some way or another, but it seems as if they're actually setting it up as if he's her father. And even though in real life, Scarlett Johansson and him are not actually that far apart in age. Scarlett Johansson is 35, and he is, let's see here, David Harbour, by the way, is his name. He's 44. So no, but with the long beard and with the gray in him, I'm assuming they're aging him up. And then the woman that was next to them who said, "You've gotten fat," potentially it's going to be one of those kind of run-of-the-mill mom and dad got divorced movies, but fighting bad guys gets us back together. I mean, I guess we haven't seen that part of it before, but although maybe one of the Spy Kids did something like that. But either way, though, this is, I guess you could argue this is a prequel, but not necessarily a prequel in the sense that we initially thought. Again, I mentioned earlier, not really that hyped for this movie. Nothing wrong with a prequel, I think. The problem is, and this happened to me with Solo, and I went to see that one with Tristan, so we actually reviewed that one, so you can hear all of our thoughts on it in that podcast. But the way I felt about it is that at no point did I feel as if any of the characters were in danger, because it's a prequel. And that's kind of, at least you have such a huge supporting cast here that I feel like there could be some danger for literally anyone that isn't named Black Widow or Natasha Romanoff. So, yes, there could be issues there. I mean, we haven't seen any of these characters even referenced, frankly, in Endgame or in Infinity War. How am I drawing a blank there? Either way, so yeah, there could be some terrible I'm not saying I want terrible things to happen to them, but still, it does feel iffy for me to try to go into this with any kind of, attachment when I feel as if all of these characters are going to be A-okay. We also in the trailer see Hawkeye as well as Nick Fury. Now, are they going to be in the movie? Maybe. I mean, I think that they might just be using archived footage, or they're going to film something for the movie, but it's a flashback within a flashback, if you consider this movie a flashback. So they're probably going to be doing something like that. Also to note, the woman that plays, quote-unquote, Black Widow's sister, is in universe, in comics, I mentioned earlier, she took on the role of Black Widow. Her name potentially is Yelena Belova, and her actress, which is actually Florence Pugh, is amazing. So if you haven't seen Midsommar, dear God, if you're not a fan of horror, I would suggest don't watch it. But as someone who is, and it's not even jump scary necessarily, it is just dread. It is infused with dread and just this very tense atmosphere. And I was on the edge of my seat for the entire movie. I saw the director's cut in New York, because I live in New York, and the director was actually doing a Q&A, which I don't really like Q&As. I always feel like this secondhand embarrassment, but the director seemed pretty cool. It's pretty chill, and the movie itself was just, oh my God, you can sense, you can just feel her pain. That she plays, Danny. You can feel that pain every time she, oh my God, it's very depressing. I'll say that much. It hurts. But so seeing her here, I'm actually happy, because while I'm hoping the movie made her a lot of money, and she's done other things as well. She's newer though. She's actually, wow, she's younger than me. Now I feel old. I'm only 27. She's 23. This is not her first rodeo, but it definitely is her first movie like this, I feel. Nothing against Midsommar, nothing against some of the other movies that she's been in, but this is huge, I would argue, compared to some of the other stuff that she's been in. So my whole point is, I'm happy for her. Seeing her in because it sounds like I'm knocking her. No, seeing her in that movie, I thought, oh, what am I even saying? She was also in, some of you wrestling fans out there like myself, she actually played Paige in Fighting with My Family, which was a biographical film, but it was done as a drama, and The Rock was in it as well, The Rock, not someone playing The Rock. So yeah, she was also in that. I forgot. I never saw her in that, but as a WWE fan or as a pro wrestling fan, I saw her as Paige, and I thought, oh, cool. And then I saw Midsommar, and I was like, oh my God. And then I see that it's her, and my brain broke. So either way, I really want to see what she's going to bring to the movie, because it would be very, because I think even though, you know, we're going to have Harbor as Red Guardian, I think that they're going to really focus on the sister dynamic for most of it. I would assume so. So yes, a family dynamic, but specifically between the two of them. So I do think that it'll be very interesting to see, you know, if the two of them have any type of chemistry. Now, I mentioned earlier, not really as interested in this film as I would have been previously. Again, it just feels very late. It's after such a huge event that it feels like we're taking a huge step back. Whereas something like Spider-Man Far From Home, I actually enjoyed, because it felt like even though actually at one point I was pushing for it being an in-between film, in between, you know, Infinity War and Endgame. Well, no, not that. In between Spider-Man 1 and Homecoming and Infinity War. But I understand that, you know, you have to push the story forward, and frankly, oh my god, frankly, I was happy with where it went, and I'm interested in seeing where it's going to go from here. So, but in this case though, it's not, you know, her death is not going to be retconned, and I don't want it to be. So we know what's going to happen to her. I don't know. It doesn't really do much for me personally. So moving on to Scarlett Johansson. Now, what happened with her was, what really kind of soured me on her being Black Widow, which is why her character's death, I thought, oh, okay, so I guess this worked for me personally. So she was going to play a trans male character who, in an autobiographical movie, so it's supposed to be about this man's life. And she wasn't, because I can understand if someone said, well, what if she played before he started presenting male, and then after he started presenting male, we got another male actor to do this, or even a trans actor. I wouldn't be opposed to that necessarily. But I think the problem with that specifically is that once her publicist got involved and asked about it, she had mentioned other people doing trans films for Oscar, like Oscar movies that would be up for the Oscars around Oscar season. So it came off as, oh, she's just doing this for Oscar bait, and it just none of it worked out in her favor. It's been a while, so I do need to look it up again, but it didn't necessarily make Scarlett Johansson seem transphobic. It just made the whole situation look bad on her behalf. So for her, and also for her publicist, did not help. So yeah, it was just iffy all around. You know, it's a thing where, and I know some people are going to say in the comments, well, you're telling me that, you know, trans people can't play cis people. I'm not saying that necessarily. It's just that when we're looking at someone's life and it's an autobiographical take on their life, I don't understand why. Well, I do understand why, in the sense that it's for the Oscars to try to say, look at the transformation I made. But I just feel like there's a difference between losing weight or gaining weight. There's a difference between shaving your head or not shaving your head versus being trans, where you would not have, where I'm Hispanic, but you would not have me, you know, say, well, you know, I'm going to be black for a movie for the Oscars. You know, and it's a movie about slavery, it's about this person's life, and I'm going to be black. No, you don't do that. And in the same way, I feel as if you don't do that here either. So again, it's nothing. Usually I don't, stuff like that doesn't really get in the way of me enjoying either a film or a television series. Usually, sometimes it can, sometimes it doesn't. But in this case, I just think that it also, again, with other factors as well, it being too late, it being a little out of place with everything else going on in Marvel right now, I feel as if this would have, I don't know, it just feels, again, it just doesn't really mesh well with me right now. So will I be seeing it? Well, I probably will be checking it out if it ends up going on Disney Plus's streaming service, because it's not as if I don't want to see it. It's not as if I'm boycotting it or anything like that. It's just because when you think about, again, this is from me being in New York, when you think about a theater ticket being $13 and a 3D theater ticket being $19, I don't know if it's going to be in 3D, but it's a Marvel movie, so probably. No, I don't want to spend that kind of money. I don't spend that kind of money on a lot of movies nowadays. I just wait for it to drop on different streaming services. So I would probably just wait for this to drop on Disney Plus. So either way, though, guys, if you're listening to this through the YouTube channel, tell me what you think about this trailer. Will you be watching it? Will you not be watching it? All that stuff down in the comment section down below.